Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Shimmy, shimmy. Available this Christmas, the Christmas soundtrack. Dad, AF. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. I'm dreaming of a Deaf Noodles Christmas feast. How are you guys doing today? Well, Deaf Noodles had his second roast battle last night, and I was hoping I would not have to do a video covering it. Unfortunately, this roast battle was worse than the first. So I have some things to say about it. Somebody got pushed and shoved. Apparently somebody is going to be pressing charges. I don't know. It's crazy, you guys. And is it a marketing scheme? Is it all just for Deaf Noodles to proclaim that he is the greatest comedian in the entire world? Is it a project, a secret project of Deaf Noodles to prove how you can ruin your career in less than 3 months? I don't know, okay? But I will say, the majority of the comments that I have received on my past Deaf Noodles videos have been, I used to watch Deaf Noodles, I really enjoyed his content, I really enjoyed his videos. Unfortunately, I can't watch him anymore. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's going on with his career, but I have stepped away. I'm done with it. I just looked on his social blade. He has lost 24,000 subscribers in the last month. Just in the last night, he has lost 1,000 subscribers. He is losing more subscribers than most subscribers gain in a day. He is losing in a day. He says he doesn't care and that it's not about the likes and the followers and the subscribers to him, which I'm going to say something about that in a second. But the majority of the comments that I received on my past, I think, 2 or 3 videos that I did talking about Deaf Noodles were pretty consistent, with people saying that they were really disappointed in him and that he wasn't really listening to the feedback of his audience, and that they were saying, hey, we're fans of yours, but like, we're not down for all of this, whatever you're doing. And but I did receive one, maybe 2 comments from people saying, you know, like, hey, you always give advice and inspiration to many YouTubers out there when they're going through stuff. Maybe you could help support his dreams of being a comedian, you know, and help inspire him. And I do. And in fact, actually, if you watched my last 2 videos all the way through, I did give Deaf Noodles some very good advice. I said that he should find a mentor that was a comedian that could kind of help him become the better comedian that he wants to be. I also talked to him about maybe, I don't know, working with or for a comedy club so he could see how a real comedy club is designed and made and ran, because this SHI Toot show of one room, 40 people packed upon each other in folding chairs that looks like a basement Boone's Farm party in the 1980s. I don't know how you call that a comedy club, okay? It looks dangerous to me is what it looks like. It looks like safety issue to me. I don't know how many doors there are to get out of that place. I don't know, but he's showing the whole thing online, so anybody that would have any kind of safety or health issues with this could show this and to anybody and say, like, this is kind of a safety issue, right? But anyway, I did give him some good advice. I thought it was good advice, and other people said it was good advice, and he didn't want to listen to it, and hey, that's fine, right? But since 1 or maybe 2, I don't know, maybe 1.5 people, 1.5, said that I should give some inspiration to him, I thought, okay, well, I do want to do that. So I came up with some awards for Deaf Noodles from the School of Truth. Okay, so you can see on the top here and on the bottom, there are little crayons, okay? Because these are award certificates that we give out when you're in school, okay? If you're 37 and you say that you're 25 or something, I mean, that should be an award of its own. You know what I'm saying? To fool so many people for so long, that's called lying. That's called lying. That's what you call other people out for in your videos, but when it happens to you, you double down and you get defensive. But anyway, so I came up with all these awards, okay? Are you ready? Now, these are just meant to be honest, truthful, and inspiring, okay, of Dennis. Now, I know he's 37, but in his head, he's still like 22. So he probably is closer to elementary school when you used to get these awards in his head, and because of his lack of maturity, and remembers what it's like to get these awards. Okay, so now here's the first award. The first award is, you can see I had them all typed up and everything. Funniest comedian with no jokes and the ability to hold a microphone at the same time. Now, I think that's a pretty good award, right? So congratulations to you, Deaf Noodles, on that. The funniest comedian that has absolutely no jokes whatsoever, but you are able to hold 3 microphones at the same time. Oh. Now, I'm just saying, I don't know where you practice, okay? Now, the next award is for the ability, typed up right here. You can see down here it says Peter Monn Judge. The ability to be delusional enough to think you're trending on Twitter for being successful when in actuality you are a complete embarrassment. Now, I think that's a pretty good award, and I just want to congratulate you on that. You seem very happy in your delusion, so congratulations. Now, the third award is based on a video that you put out the day of, I think the day before, the day of, we're going to talk about it in a second, of your most recent roast about how to provide safety and what not to do and what to do at, you know, a roast and things like that. So I just wanted to give you an award for providing the best safety and educating about safety in a comedy club while actually being the safety issue yourself, okay? While actually being the one that is causing violence in your own club. I think to come out and preach about safety in a club, okay, on the heels of also coming for Will Smith at the Oscars, you know, when we all know about all that, right? And talking about that to be the person that's actually doing it in your own club, I think that deserves an award, because that is one of two things, okay? That's either unhinged or that's a marketing scheme. And quite frankly, I'm not really sure which one it is at this point, because on the heels of this roast battle that he did last night, that's getting a lot of attention because he shoved this salvo, which we're going to talk about in just a second, that showed up to his comedy club. He is now promoting the hell out of the fact that he is going to be at this comedy club, this LA comedy club in Las Vegas, okay? Now, I am jealous of Deaf Noodles because I would love to be in Las Vegas right now, and I can tell you if I were, okay, in Las Vegas tonight, I would show up to that comedy club, and I would record it with my phone the whole time for all of you to see, because I can't even imagine that one. Okay, but let's go on to the awards. I've got just two more awards. The next award, okay, is the best marketing scheme for your failed comedy career while simultaneously ruining your online career, okay? Because I am so impressed. I don't know how you have the ability to do this, okay? How you have the ability to market the failure of your comedy online roast career while at the same time ruining your online presence that you have worked so hard to build that other people would die to have, okay? I don't know how you have the ability to do that, but it is amazing. It really is, and a lot of hard work, I'm sure. And then the last award, okay, is the most, and this is the one, I'm really trying to be inspiring here, the most potential as a comedian if you'd actually listen to anyone's advice and stop being so arrogant. I think that that's a really nice award because it gives you some advice, and then it also is a lot of pats on the back, okay? Now, Dennis, if you don't know what these awards really are, is called a roast, okay? So there. I don't need to come to your club. So when you want to say in the future to people or dip into their DMs and say, hey, I'm going to fly you out here, or you want to say to me, if you got something to say in a video, why don't you come out here to my club? First of all, your club is full of safety issues. I would never show up to that club in a million years. Second of all, I don't know why I would need to when I can roast you in a video, okay? You're a YouTuber, I'm a YouTuber, I'm gonna roast you where I know how to do it, okay? I don't need to come out there and be in some stinky club that doesn't have any safety, first of all. Third, okay, you ask people to show up, pull up and show up, okay, or suit up or whatever you asked them to do, and it happened, and you wouldn't let them talk. You wouldn't let them roast you. You wouldn't hand them the microphone, and in fact, you kicked them out of your club, okay, and called it a safety issue. So, let's talk about what happened. Are you ready? Did you like those little awards? I did. Okay, so, this is a situation. So, he has this second comedy roast. Now, what was interesting to me after having seen pictures of the inside of this club, okay, which I have to believe is probably about 100 feet by 20 feet. It looks rather small, okay, that you could maybe stack, I don't know, 10 rows of, I don't know, six folding chairs in. I mean, it's small, and the back is very, very dark. I'd be scared to be in one of those dark corners back there, okay, because I don't know. But anyway, so, he had the second roast, and he kept on saying that he was going to, like, adding more tickets. I'm adding more tickets, which I don't know. It was his way of, like, if you sold out of your tickets, first of all, I never understand when he says this. How can you add more tickets if you sold out of more tickets? I feel like that's a complete lie, first of all, right? Like, if you have enough tickets to, let's say, sell 60 or 40 or 20 or whatever, how is it that you have the ability to add more tickets, okay? Because I would have to believe that with, like, health codes and safety issues and things like that, that you are allowed to have a certain amount of people at any given time in your club, and that you have to have that approved, and that you have to have, like, I'm going to have so many audience members and whatever. That would have to, I would imagine, have to be approved ahead of time. It's kind of like an elevator. It's like, you can have 10 passengers in here or whatever, right? Like, it's the same thing. And I know that restaurants and clubs have those kinds of things, so I'm confused as to how at the last minute he started adding all these tickets, but he did. And not only that, but he price gouged the tickets, because they were apparently $15 at first, and then they went up to $50, so closer to the event, okay? So he did all this. Well, what happened was that he was so arrogant, okay, and entitled online. The last week he has dedicated to going off on this guy in, I think it's the UK he's in or something like that, this Cabos guy who was like, I'll box you in the boxing ring, and he was like, I'm not going to box you in the boxing ring, let's take it to the streets, you can even live stream it on this one-person street. It's ridiculous to me. It's just like, you know what it is? It's like, let's throw out our dicks and see who has the biggest dick kind of thing. And I just think that's ridiculous, okay? First of all, if you say you're a comedian, you don't need to throw out your dick and see who's got the biggest dick, even though you love to show pictures of yourself shirtless. What you need to do is tell the funniest jokes, okay? But since you can't tell the funniest jokes, apparently what you need to do is that you need to threaten violence and tell people to pull up and show up, okay? So that's what happened. This guy named Salvo from Cleveland, Ohio, he flew out there and he showed up at the club. And not only did he show up at the club, but he also had supporters of him buy tickets as well. What's wrong with that? Everybody that is a supporter of Deaf Noodles is saying, well, this is so unfair and blah, 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 blah. No, okay? Deaf Noodles has online been going and saying, pull up or show up. If you have something to say to me, say it. Come here and show it. Roast me. I'll roast you back and blah, 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 whatever, right? So this Salvo guy shows up, and he gets the audience kind of going, right, in support of him. And they're saying, like, F Deaf Noodles and F Deaf Noodles and blah, 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 blah. Now, apparently, allegedly, before the show started, he was, like, standing up, and he was kind of hyping up the crowd. Now, I'm not going to show this video clip. It's all over online. It's in a thread of mine on Twitter. If you want to go see it, several people have put the clip over there. But Deaf Noodles comes out of this door with two security guards in between him, okay? And he shoves Salvo, like, really hard, okay? And you can see in that moment, like, this is not fake. Like, this is not between him and this Salvo guy. Like, this is really him angry because this Salvo guy is kind of, like, making jokes about Deaf Noodles and saying F Deaf Noodles and stuff like that. And the audience is eating it up. And Deaf has completely lost control of the audience at this point, right? So this is how the show starts. And this is unbelievable if this is how the show starts, if the show even went anywhere, right? So now, first of all, I want to remind you guys, okay, hold on, I got my screenshot right here. Deaf just did this video 2 days before that. Hold on, got Shane Dawson clips right here. He did this video 2 days before called My Life Has Been Threatened. And he talked about one of the comedians, and it showed like footage of him like showing up on a scooter to the studio, and that he wouldn't give him a tour of the studio because you don't just show up to a studio unannounced. And he talked about how he has this team of security and security issues, and he was really educating people on when you like run a club, how you do a club, okay? So I'm sitting here watching this as this is unfolding last night, and I'm thinking to myself, you have the audacity to educate people and preach to people about how to be safe in a club, and you yourself are the violent safety issue of the club coming out and pushing people. Now, whatever your issue is with Salvo or how you feel like he should have done it or shouldn't have done it, Deaf Noodles himself had other comedians in the club. had no idea where this fight would have gone, okay? Salvo could have pushed him back. I mean, this fight could have gotten like, out of control. Salvo could have fallen into people in the audience that could have been Deaf Noodles fans. Doesn't even matter if they're Salvo's fans or not. That shouldn't matter. It could have just become this huge thing inside this club, right? And I'm like, and it looks like there's 2 security guards that are really just like dudes in polo shirts that say security on them, I think. They don't even really look like a security team. So this whole thing goes on. And what happens is that the audience continues to chant and say F Deaf Noodles, and Def is trying to have this comedy show battle, which really ends up becoming, because at that point Def has realized that the entire audience is there in support of Salvo, okay? Which is what Deaf Noodles has asked for all week long. He's asked for somebody to show up and pull up and show up, and here you've had it, and now you don't want it, right? And what he should have done in that moment, if A, he was a fantastic comedian, if B, he was a fantastic business owner, and C, he wanted to take control back from that audiences, he should have handed Salvo a microphone, he should have stepped back on stage, he should have said, this is what we're going to do, Salvo and I are going to roast each other, and we're going to allow everybody to sit back and watch what I said was going to happen. And he should have had all the other comedians leave the stage. But that's not what happened. What happened was there was Deaf Noodles and 2 other comedians at any given time, okay, heckling the audience and heckling the crowd, right? And basically trying to roast the crowd with these horrible, inappropriate jokes that were not good whatsoever. For example, the young lady that made the F slur that got him banned last time on Twitch, she made a joke. Hold on, let me make sure that I get it totally right. She, in talking about the audience, she said, you have the same energy as the town that had a mass shooting. Well, that's a real funny joke, isn't it? Can't wait to see you at the LA comedy clubs. I bet they're booking you left and right. And, you know, to me, it kind of took me back to this whole thing of me talking about her saying the F slur and Def coming out and defending her and saying that, you know, that she's a lesbian and all this kind of stuff. I have yet to hear an apology from him about that. I mean, we want to talk about other influencers that will be canceled for very similar things. I have yet to hear an apology from her about that. I have yet to hear an apology from him about that. And yet he continues to use it and have her in his show. He didn't even say to her for the next roast, I don't think it would be appropriate to have you back, okay? You know, hey, you're a friend, I love you, whatever, but it didn't go great. Then he has her back, and her jokes are just as dark and inappropriate, right? So this whole thing gets out of control, right? Salvo is like standing up. He's in the audience trying to get the audience to go. He then wants Dennis to hand him the microphone. Dennis starts going into the audience and asking people. Well, he asks his security guards first, should I give him the microphone? Okay, well, this is what you said it was going to be. You said it was going to be people coming out here and roasting you. Now you don't want to give them the opportunity to do that, you know, but you wanted to call everybody the P word. But in all honesty, the way that you define that word is actually who you are, okay? Weak and scared of being able to defend your own comedy. When you know that you are so good at something, you don't stand there and ask other people's advice about what you do. You show it, okay? And in that moment, you have the ability to show what a fantastic comedian you are and turn this whole thing around. Anybody with any kind of humor whatsoever, I could have been standing on that stage and I would have turned that around on that Salvo, okay? Or I would have invited him on stage, or I would have made a joke of myself or something, right? But Dennis didn't know what to do. He just stood there with his microphone on stage and was like he didn't even know what to do, right? So he goes into the audience and he starts asking audience members, should I give Salvo the microphone? Well, it's all Salvo supporters, so of course they're all saying yes. But what's interesting is if you listen to it, at one point, this woman says, I love you, Dennis, but yes, this is what you asked for, okay? Which I feel like epitomizes everything about this roast. So then he goes back up on stage after this whole kind of show and this distraction of, and this trying to like pull this out as long as he possibly can, right? And then he says, I can't give you the microphone, right? Then Salvo says, they're kicking out my supporters, and the security was kicking his people out of the club, okay? Then they then the security, you can see them on the footage, they kicked Salvo out. And Salvo also said that they were cutting parts of the audio out so you couldn't hear what was actually being said to him in there. Now, Salvo posted a video up of himself like in an Uber or a limo or something afterwards, and he said he's pressing charges. He said, like, listen, like, I'm going to press charges. I'm going to get an attorney. I was assaulted not once but twice. There was a period in the video clip of the show where this woman that's apparently a friend of Deaf Noodles comes from behind in that door behind him, and she throws alcohol on Salvo, and so he's like, you know, I'm gonna sue for this, right? So this has kind of turned into this like really, really huge issue now. Apparently, after the show, allegedly, I wasn't there. I won't be there in the future. Don't care to show up. Your jokes aren't good, and I don't need to prove myself to you, okay? But anyway, because I'm not the one sitting here saying I have a comedy club, even though I got 2 new plants, all right? But I was sitting there, and are you from Detroit? But I was sitting there, and I was watching this, and I was like, is this like marketing for more of this? Because he really can't be making that much money. I mean, at any given time, there were between like 700 and 900 people watching this live, okay? Now, there were a lot of people that were watching it through other people that were like commenting on it at the same time, but there really weren't that many people that were watching it. You know, even if, let's say, he had 60 people in the audience and the tickets were $50, you know, I mean, what? Like, that's still not that much money that he's making off of this. And I really don't understand what he is doing, like trying to seriously like ruin his career, okay? And this is the thing that I don't understand about this whole pushing somebody situation, okay, is that, you know, comedy is kind of like when, especially a roast, well, first of all, if you go back and you watch roasts aren't necessarily like, I don't like this person or whatever. It's really kind of just trying to like shade or read somebody in a really funny way, okay? So, and kind of getting one up on them, right? It's like rap battles back in the day. It's like, that's how a roast work, right? And so, you know, and he doesn't have the ability to do that because he's just not that quick-witted. He really isn't, which makes me wonder if the humor with his videos back in the day were very scripted. I don't know how scripted his videos are, okay? You know, it is what it is. When I watch people that are funny and it's like just one hit, like one take in their videos, like that's where you can kind of see some really like true humor in people, but I don't think that he has that. But here's the thing, right? There should never be any kind of violence at a comedy show because the humor itself is what you are using to kind of attack the other person, right? So if you have something to say or if you have something to prove, you should be proving it with your mouth. You should be proving it with your jokes. You should be proving it with your humor. The only time that you would ever have to resort to pushing somebody or to violence and then to have safety issues is when you do not have the ability to use humor to get one up on that person, right? And the other thing to me is that so many people have told Dennis that this whole comedy club has all of these safety issues around it. So the fact that he wants to come out and preach about safety and have a security team, which really the security team, if we want to talk about it, is only there to protect Dennis. They are not there to protect the safety of anybody else, okay? That was obvious in last night's show because they kept on protecting him and he was hiding behind the security team anytime Salvo was trying to talk to him or come to him or whatever, right? So the security team that he has is not to protect the club, is not to protect the audience, it is only to protect Dennis. So I don't know what he's afraid of, but people have been saying this for a while now, like this is not a good idea, you know? Now I have some notes, as you know, so I want to make sure that I don't get away from my notes. The one thing I do want to say is like him talking about not caring about, you know, followers and all this kind of stuff and him losing 1,000 subscribers a day. You know, I was thinking about this and I feel like it is so disrespectful, A, to his audience that has really been there to help him with his sponsorships, building his channel, giving him even the opportunity to build a comedy club, you know, giving him even the opportunity to call himself a comedian and whatnot, right? And I think it's so disrespectful. I also think it's disrespectful to those YouTubers out there that are literally putting up videos on a daily basis. They're busting their butts that have 1,000 subscribers and were not given the opportunity that Deaf Noodles was given with his rise to fame very quickly, that he can sit there and say this. One of the things I didn't understand, okay, with a person that has, what, a platform of 700,000 subscribers or something on YouTube is that you can only pack an audience of 60 people. The other thing is, if I were to give Dennis advice, which if he were to call me up, which he never would, right? And I said, you really want to run an appropriate roast battle? Okay, this is what I would do. I would go to a comedy club that you respect, maybe not a top tier one, but maybe a middle tier comedy club that you know is not going to be booked every night. And you say to them, okay, listen, I have 700,000 followers on YouTube. Like, that's a big deal, right? And I want to promote a comedy roast at this club. And I want to work with you, and I will provide the space, and I will host it. And as the YouTuber, I will host the roast, and I will be the person in between it, right? But I'm going to let you guys come up with the comedians, and you can come up with a list of who they're going to be and whatever, right? And then I will be the one to host it. Because you can tell that he really wants to do this. The problem is that when you watch it, all of these comedians that come on to roast each other and Dennis is in the middle, it kind of seems like this hangout in junior high, like all of these like friends on the playground after school. It's like they're all friends with each other and they all make like these really inappropriate mom jokes that are just so stupid and don't fall on humor whatsoever at 37, let alone 25, let alone 20. They're stupid. They're poor jokes, right? And so if he really wants to do this, to like promote it in a comedy club first and then maybe build his own comedy club second, I think would have been a better way. He would have, you know, actually, I think, grown some reputation of being somebody that can promote a comedy show or a roast. He would have also had the backing of a comedy club, and I think a comedy club probably would have worked with him if he wanted just to promote it and host it. I think they would have done that. I think it would have gone off without a hitch. I think that he would have actually had some real comedians that know how to roast each other, and what he could have done was he could have had 4 people come up and each of them do a set for a half an hour, right? And then after that, each person would roast the next person until you have one person standing. And that's how he could have done an effective comedy roast. And he could have also had a 2-hour show that people would have paid, let's say, $50 for to come to a real comedy club with food, with drinks, with round tables, with plants, with whatever. And then he could have also said, I'm going to host this, and he could have shown his own comedic abilities by hosting it. But he is so arrogant and so entitled that he wants to say, I am in control of everything. And what happened in this is that it got to complete chaos and mayhem, and everything was out of control. The majority of the time, he stood on stage with a microphone and did not know what to do. And it was so obvious. The fact that he came out afterwards and said this was another success and we're trending on Twitter, like, and I'm not, Dennis is not stupid, okay? Like, let's not act for 1 second like he's stupid. He knows he's trending on Twitter because people are talking crap about him. He knows that he's trending on Twitter because the comedy roast was a total fail. Dennis knows that, okay? Dennis knows the comedy roast was a fail. He knows that it's a complete crap show. He knows that this thing was out of control. Dennis knows that, all right? Like, that's the thing. So then what it makes me believe is this has to all be some marketing for something bigger. Like, what is he doing? Like, is this what's getting him the comedy show in Las Vegas? And that's really his appeal, is that he really wants to start doing stand-up places? Well, then let your stand-up speak for yourself. Then why don't you do a comedy show where you have 3 comedians with yourself and you're showing, you know, whatever in a real club instead of this club with 20 people, because it's completely, it's just unbelievable to me, right? So let's see if I have anything else about this. I don't think that I do. You know, I mean, a lot of people are like, why are you talking about this if you, like, don't really care about Dennis? Because at the end of the day, in all honesty, I don't care about Dennis. I don't give a rat's ass about Dennis, okay? I wish him the best. You know, I really do. For any of these people I talk about, and I know that this seems crazy, but like for any human being out there, I really hope that they accomplish their dreams. But the way that he's doing it is like, it's like you are pushing so hard against the grain. There are so many easier ways to accomplish your goals and be the comedian that you want to be and be the respected comedian that you want to be. You're literally an embarrassment right now. I tweeted out last night, have you ever watched somebody and been so embarrassed for them? Yeah. Because it was like, when you're watching something and you're like, oh my God. You know, like, I mean, it's really embarrassing. And the thing is that Dennis is putting a lot of time and energy into all this, and money too. I know he is, right? We've seen that. And yet, it just continues to fail over and over and over again. And why? Because of his pride, arrogance, and ego that are getting in a way that he will not listen to anybody that is giving him advice. His audience, drama channels, commentary people out there, his friends, he will not listen to anybody because he's got these 4 yes men around him and these 4 horrific comics that have no humor to them whatsoever telling him that this is a good idea. So I'm going to tell you what you're going to have, Dennis, in about 2 years, okay? No career on YouTube, no following on YouTube, no sponsorships, no ability to pay your bills off of YouTube, and you're going to have 4 stinky comedians in a stinky club. And I hope that that's what you want, because you did have the ability to actually turn this whole career into something amazing, and even if that was a job and a career in comedy, you could have had it. But you're pissing it away and you don't even care. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comedy section. Let me know what you think in the comedy section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.